Hey, what's up, YouTube? Well, I got motivated to make a quick short video. Went somewhere today, so naturally I can't make a long video because it's pretty late in the afternoon. And if you hear the wind chime a lot more than usual, just know that it's because cooler weather is finally here, and I'm so glad we're in the fall, which I forgot to say in my other videos. But I can only say so much. So, first of all, before I get started, I like to say that I have some show and tell. I'm so glad I bought these a year ago. And I bought this. And I bought this. So it really does pay to buy things a year ahead of time, rather than have to spend a lot more, because we're almost to Halloween, which we're really not. Got a whole another month ahead of us. But rather than spend more, to have it ahead of the holiday, just buy it and keep it for a year. So anyway, what I'd like to make a video about, and I just keep bouncing back and forth from one subject to another, both of them pretty awful. The title of this video, I want it to be What Makes Me Dysphoric, because I was just thinking about something. And what I'd like to say is that there is a misconception that my parents and a lot of other parents like them have. And it's about what actually causes me to feel dysphoric. Because, let's be real honest. I have dysphoria to an extent, although I don't consider myself trans. I don't consider myself, say, as royal blue as someone who's actually going through all the surgeries and hormones, in my gender expression. I don't consider myself like a big macho lumberjack born with a vagina. But then, of course, I don't see myself as being as hot pink as, say, an ordinary woman, So I'm somewhere in the middle, some shade of purple, okay? So I definitely have dysphoria. But what my parents don't seem to understand, because like I say, I would be in some kind of trouble if they were to ever find out, that I'm even watching these people and keeping up with their lives. And if I were to have a friend in real life that's trans, they'd be wanting me to have nothing to do with that person once they'd find out that they are. So, kind of like guilt by association. So, what really makes me dysphoric is not, what my parents think it is. It isn't when I see these people and what they're going through, and I see the scars on their chest, which, of course, I have no scars to show, and even my hysterectomy scars are just not something I would go showing on YouTube like an exhibitionist. But it's not when I see these people and what they're going through and, the scars on their body that I become dysphoric about mine and wishing I were male or looked male. It isn't from that. It isn't from these trans influencers and, people like them that makes me, feel the dysphoria. What makes me dysphoric is when I see a woman with 8 kids and a 9th one on the way. That's when I become dysphoric, or when I did. Thankfully, I try to remind myself I've had a hysterectomy and I don't need to think about that anymore. And, I can be very triggered, by people that just believe that having children is the end all and be all of life. You see, that's when I become dysphoric. It's when I actually hear from men who want a dozen kids, yet they never want to change a diaper. And, when I see a woman practicing elimination communication with a newborn and a top hat potty, all because she can't afford diapers for her 5th or 6th child. And when I do the math and realize that, if you have 5 kids that are about 3 when they potty train, well, 5 times 3 is 15, so that'd be like 15 years worth of diapers. And so, you see, that's why that method has always been practiced in the majority of the world, and why, for thousands of years, that's just what people did, because it was really the only thing that made sense when you had a large family. You know what I'm saying? It's like if you notice the people with the most kids tend to report the lowest average age of potty training them. And it makes sense mathematically because, if you have one kid, the difference between that one kid being 2 or 3 when they potty train isn't that big. You know what I'm saying? But then it adds up, or it multiplies. So, the difference between, say, a dozen kids that potty train at age 2 versus 3 is like the difference between 24 years and 36 years of buying diapers, if you know what I mean. So it really does add up over time. And so yeah, it's like it just, that's when I become dysphoric about my body, or wishing that I were male and having thoughts like, if I could trade bodies with even a black man, I would totally do it in a heartbeat. If I could wake up tomorrow as a healthy black man as opposed to a white female, I would totally do it, because I feel like there's just no honor in being white. Like, I don't have any legacy or heritage that I'm proud of and would like to pass on to another generation, which is why I'm just so glad I've had my hysterectomy. And nothing like a white supremacist, will do it. When I read, what white supremacists have to say about women, that's when I become very dysphoric, and start hating the fact that I'm female and everything, because I feel like white women, it's like slavery may have ended, in the 1800s for the black race, but white women to this day are still enslaved by white men, if you know what I mean, and in the worst possible way. Like, at least the slaves weren't being forced to reproduce their very image, in human form. So yeah, to me that's like the ultimate worst. The worst way that you can be enslaved is when someone forces you to reproduce for them. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that's when I become dysphoric about my body. It's when I read, things written by people that only value women for their reproductive abilities and want to reduce us to just a breeding machine or a baby machine. And just the very idea of being forced to carry the children, for the gender that is so stupid that, like I say, they think girls and women don't have bowel movements, or that they stop, when they get their first period and then resume after menopause, and all kinds of crap like that. I get so tired of talking about it. But that's the original driving force, behind me feeling dysphoric. Like I say, it's not so much that I think maleness and masculinity is just so much better than being a woman. No, it's the fact that I didn't want to be a woman because I do not want to be the object of their sexual aggression and their stupidity, and to have to live with them. To have to live with someone who has barf-inducing underwear, yet acts like changing a dirty diaper just, so disgusting. The worst thing ever. Well, guess who wore diapers a lot longer than girls, when they were actually a baby? So it's like the same gender, that dirties the most diapers when they're a baby is the one that grows up and doesn't want to change them. You know what I'm saying? So, it's like that's what really infuriates me. And, in my own life, my mom never had my dad changing our diapers, and I'm glad for it. But, it's just so infuriating to think that I should just be okay with that. Not only going through, the physical pain and everything associated with childbirth, but also breastfeeding and changing all their diapers, and want to do it over and over again and just be okay with that. Knowing that, as much as men pretend that they're grossed out by poop, and, they'll do things that are, 10 times more disgusting. And it just makes me so angry, that these same people that will, like, give my favorite movie a 1-star rating, for the toilet humor, but yet they'll turn around and watch something with all kinds of blood and guts and shooting and killing. You know what I'm saying? Stuff that's R-rated, it's totally fine with them, yet my favorite movie is disgusting because, they talk about poop, but they never actually show you what they did. See, that's what I'm disappointed with, but I kind of understand why they wouldn't. but I digress. So yeah, it's like, you know, that's what actually causes or triggers the dysphoria. It's not because I see people that are actually going through the changes and all that, because if anything, that does just the opposite. That kind of curbs the dysphoria, which is why I watch these people. I like to remind myself, you know, just how hard it would be to actually go through these surgeries and all that. But yeah, so my parents are completely misguided about that, you know, and like I say, they would take away my phone and everything if they found that I were watching such videos, but that is not what triggers dysphoria.